Welcome to the Real Estate Debate.
Oh, right, guy.
And today we're debating the hottest topics in real estate.
But I'm not going to stop yelling because then that'll mean I lost the fight.
And now, the host of the Real Estate Debate, Mr. Credit, on ESPN Radio 1700.
Let the games begin. Hey-o.
All right, it's that time. Happy Friday. Welcome to the Real Estate Debate, where we are debating the hottest topics in San Diego real estate with some of the best local professionals around. We have a fantastic lineup of guests today, a great set of topics on the table. Let's go around to start things off. Voltaire Leppi with Foster Hamilton, the reigning champion for the Real Estate Debate. Well, he didn't win last week, but he hasn't been defeated since he took the trophy home. Let's put it that way. He's 1-0 on the Real Estate Debate. Voltaire, welcome back, my friend.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here, man.
How's the hardware doing in the house?
It's actually at the office.
It's at the office.
As soon as they walk in, they see it.
It's for real. Now, this is it gets real very quickly when you bring the trophy out. If you're streaming us live on MrCredit.tv, you can see this is the trophy right here that they're playing for today. Someone will walk away with this today. Voltaire has a chance to be the first two-time champion, the very first two-time champion. 5 others have attempted Voltaire. No one has been able to do it yet. I hope you have something special up your sleeve today. You can find out more about Voltaire and Foster Hamilton at freepropertyevaluations.com. We also have Melissa Zavala in the studio today with Broadpoint Properties and broadpointproperties.com. Melissa, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Now, you were on the Real Estate Debate once before. It was the highest scoring real estate debate we've ever had. In fact, you scored more points that day than some of the winners have on other shows. So I know you're ready to come in here today and exact some revenge and take a trophy home.
I'd be interested in doing that.
She's interested in doing that. She's also interested in writing, and in fact just wrote an article for the Union Tribune about the merger between Zillow and Trulia, what that means to you.
That should be the entire show right now. That's like the most hot button topic out there right now.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can read about it at the Union Tribune's website, utsandiego.com/real estate. The voice that you just heard, which is Jesse Ibanez with the Greenhouse Group. Jesse, it's your first time on the Real Estate Debate. I'm excited to have you here. I'm very interested to know, now, the Greenhouse Group. It's an interesting name. It doesn't say real estate. Neither does your website, greenmeansgrow.com. So I think a lot of people would see the word grow and green in the same domain, and they would assume that something's going on there with the marijuana. Do you get that very often?
We were trying to parlay. You figured us out. We're trying to parlay all the medical popping up. No. It's a double entendre. Thank you for asking. The first part of it is our wealth building formula for folks going through that process, using the old monopoly strategy, the same formula you use when you'd smoke your parents and your siblings at the coffee table when you were kids. And then the second part, of course, is our homage to the whole green conversation, which few people could care about, but we're still holding the torch nonetheless. Thank you.
I care about it a lot. I think the green movement's important. There's a lot of things. I mean, just the amount of waste and things like that take place is ridiculous. It's appalling for the most part as I drink my water out of a styrofoam cup. And we get the Real Estate Debate started today. If you weren't ready, it's time to get ready. So let's do this. First thing we do on this show is we take the temperature of the marketplace is we ask our in-studio guests whether we're currently in a buyer's market, seller's market, or a balanced market, and we ask them to tell us why in under 2 minutes. So, Voltaire, we're going to be starting with you right now. Voltaire, are we in a balanced market, seller's market, or a buyer's market, and why?
We're still in the seller's market, and the reason is just inventory. So inventory, in my opinion, just kind of dictates everything. So if, we're a healthy market, in my opinion, is about six months of inventory. That's like an average market here in San Diego. Since we're below that, then it's a seller's market just because, they rule the negotiating table. So when they're getting multiple offers at that point, they get to choose, they get to call out their terms, their services and what they want. So that's where we're at right now. I think it's still a good market for buyers just because interest rates are at all-time low still. And at the end of the day, if someone could buy right now and lock themselves in a 4%, 4.2, whatever we're at right now as far as a rate, compared to buying next year when maybe prices are a little bit more, because we're in an appreciating market as well. That's what that's what a seller's market means. So
Yeah.
I think it's at the end of the day, it's a good deal for both parties, but we are in a seller's market.
Yeah, okay, I can totally understand that, and your concept behind that is basically that if we have inventory selling quicker than average,
Right.
then that means that the sellers are typically dictating terms because people are trying to buy these out. There's more people willing to buy than people looking to sell, and I think we've seen that for quite some time. Jesse Ibanez, what do you think? Buyer's market, seller's market, balanced market?
The word, Derek,
Yeah,
is bilocated.
bilocated.
Someone's head just exploded in Scranton. No, this is a smart. You make people smarter, right? That's the whole thing of the show.
Yes.
And the
well, there's two things we do with the show. We make
comment.
people smarter, and
All we want to do is pump.
Oh boy! Wow,
Yeah.
that just happened,
you're
everybody.
You're getting me started.
Ratings just spiked. That first comment is accurate, but I don't think it tells the whole story. Bilocated means that you're technically in two locations at the exact same time. So if I look at the stats right now, it is a seller's market in the sense that, I mean, just last month we reported that our median home price was up in like, what, 5 1/4?
Yeah, it was.
Highest
up.
it's been,
Yep.
I don't even know, for a while.
Yeah.
And at the same time, that's going to dictate a lot of the terms, just like Voltaire said. But at the same moment, in the exact same place, you've got the buyers, which inventory is returning. You know, we have inventory spiked up. I mean, it's the highest it's been since 2012.
Yeah.
And rates are still trading right now like low 4s. And then you got Yellen, who's popping up on the mic saying that basically they're going to be easing off their QE programs by the end of October. So there's like this little moment in time where sellers can get their price and buyers still have an opportunity to now have the pendulum swift back over in their favor a little bit, pick up a property that's not totally overbid with 15 offers in the first weekend at a rate that's affordable, you know, for the long term. So my big concern moving forward is going to be the rents and the rental inventory and see how that impacts the market one way or another.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, actually a really good point. I tell you, I think that, so you believe it's a seller's market then is what you're saying. Still a seller's market.
Bilocated.
Bilocated. I like it. I give you a point for that. Melissa Zavala, what do you think?
I agree with Voltaire. Statistically, we are still in a seller's market. A balanced market, as he said, is 6 months. And right now, what I did was I looked at the MISA micro areas. Both Escondido and Encinitas have an absorption rate of 13 weeks, between 13 and 14 weeks. And then I looked at
Total?
Total. And
Total.
so if no
Wow.
new homes came on the market, everything would be sold in those communities in 13 to 14 weeks. Statistically, of course, the $4 million Ocean View is probably not so much.
Right.
But on the other end, so then I looked at Sandecor, the MLS as a whole, every single home on the market versus the number of closings last year, and did that calculation, and it's also 13.1 weeks. So despite the fact that sometimes we think at the that the lower end homes sell quicker, and I do believe that they do. There's still some investor buyers trying to get into this game, which they should have got into in 2010 and 2009, and you think, and the higher end homes sell more slowly. Overall, we are in our whole county at around a 13-week absorption rate. But with regard to interest rates and what's going on, there has been a lot of conversation over the last month or so. Janet Yellen has said several times that there is a bit of a bubble going on. So I've evidenced that personally when I go to like marketing sessions and broker opens, and there's a lot of new homes coming on the
But do you
market.
think that bubble is here in San Diego, or do you think she's talking about nationally?
Well, of course she's talking nationally, but what I see and what I think, last July, the absorption rate in the 92025 zip code, which is Escondido, was 21 days. So
Wow.
I think it's taken time. Sellers knew that, and probably realtors were hustling and saying, hey, list your house. Now you can sell for a lot. And, you know, it takes people a long time to get off the fence. And I think now these people are finally getting off the fence, and I mean, they'll still sell their home, and we are still in a seller's market, but they would have really maximized their profits if they would have listed last summer.
I agree with that. It was hotter than a firecracker. I mean, there were people making offers on everything, multiple offers across the board. It was crazy.
It was crazy.
But what's happened, though, and what's interesting now is that we have people, and I talked to someone at our happy hour last night over at the Union Tribune who is a home seller, and he listed his house because he went to do a refi, and the home appraised for a number that he would have never dreamed of. And so he said, you know what? I listed my house for sale. If I don't get that amount, I don't care. I'm not selling it. And it made me think, I wonder how many people are there like that who are listing their homes because they're just like, hey, look, it's a great time to sell, or we finally got into the green on this thing. Let's just throw it out there at this number. I don't know if there are a lot of motivated sellers out there. And if that's the case, then you really are in a seller's market because there's a lot of motivated buyers. There's tons of motivated buyers. But I don't know if there are that many motivated sellers. And another reason you can say that is you go and you look at the companies that do a lot of house flipping or investors who are looking for that motivated seller because they're trying to make some money on the second transaction. They're having a really hard time finding those motivated sellers. And I think until you have even just evidence that some motivated sellers exist, we're going to be in a seller's market. I mean, am I wrong, Walter?
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, that's where we're at right now. For investors and buyers who start getting deals on homes, inventory has to increase. But we're in a seller's market. That's just very cut and dry. It's clear. It's clear.
It's a seller's market. Jesse, what would it take to get some motivated sellers up in here?
Well, what we see is there's two types of listings. There's the ones that sell, and then there's the ones that help those sell. And you just made the point a second ago that there's a lot of people that like dipping their toe in, but they don't have a strong enough why. And so when they get inside of the belly of that beast and you're seeing the beautiful swan gracefully articulating itself through the water, underneath they're pedaling like crazy. And if you don't have that motivating why to get through the how, then you're just going to sit. And what we see is basically there's this moment in time where if you don't sell like in the first 2 weeks, then it becomes a law of diminishing returns. And as market times increase, you smell the little tint of the blood in the water. And then what are they, like 3/4 of the properties right now are doing price reductions?
Yeah.
So that
insane.
compounds the issue. And so it's interesting right now. We came from a seller's market, no doubt. Everybody would agree about that. But right now, it's interesting.
It is. It's really hard to define. I appreciate everyone's comments on that. Melissa, do you have anything you wanted to add to that?
Well, when you asked what would it take to get sellers to really be motivated?
What would it take to find motivated sellers or for
Okay.
sellers to
I'm
be motivated?
cutting off my nose to spite my face, but I'm going to say lower interest rates, looser lending guidelines, 2003.
Really? It would require that?
No, not that level.
'Cause
But lending guidelines are really tight right now, and that's still really a little bit. And the interest rates have gone up a smidgen, so those things would really motivate more buyers, and they could qualify for more.
But I'm
And-
saying what would motivate sellers?
well, if there's more buyers, then sellers would be more motivated to
See,
sell.
I totally disagree. I think that there's plenty of buyers right now, and I think that there actually are loosening up on the guidelines. You're starting to see now that Wall Street's getting back into the game again. They're starting to ease back on and getting some of the mortgage-backed security markets popping again. I'm noticing we do lending in-house, and I'm noticing we're back to like stated incomes starting to fly around. They're
100% financing. We saw that article recently. Yeah,
right. They're starting to get creative again, and I'm not saying that's a good thing. But
it's happening.
My curiosity is it the wrong diagnosis of the wrong problem in the first place?
Mm-hmm. I have to agree with you. Just because if you look at it, well, what would create a motivated seller? Well, I don't know what else they would be looking for. We have a situation where it's still, affordability isn't low, but it could be a lot worse. And we've got prices that are really high. So if you were a seller, why haven't you stepped up to the game? Is it just if now we're getting to that point where it's like, hey, this whole San Diego real estate market is becoming San Francisco real estate market. Is that happening now where people, there just isn't enough housing, or maybe there isn't the right inventory for the next generation and what they're looking for. And that's why we're seeing a lot of the builders go to the rental communities. Really good stuff from our guest as we get the real estate debate started today. When we come back, our first debate topic, we'll find out what our professionals think or consider to be the most important statistic or reference point for determining the health of the San Diego real estate market. Will make you smarter than everyone else. Stick around. All right, welcome back. Thanks for hanging out. Mr. Credit here. It is the real estate debate. Who will go home with the golden mic today? Will it be Voltaire Leppi taking his second crown home? Melissa Zavala, will she be exacting her revenge in her previous appearance on the show? Or will it be Jesse Ibanez on his first appearance on the program, staying undefeated? We will find out soon. Let's open up our first debate topic here, and we'll start with Jesse. Jesse, what do you consider to be the most important statistics or reference point for determining the health of the San Diego real estate market?
Well, for anybody who saw the last big run up, you'd probably crack the joke, the average type of car that the real estate agent drives. Because I remember a time when everybody had Ranges and they were flexing their Beamers, and their license plate frame said that, if you didn't make $100,000 last month, you got to call me. But I think the more boring answer would be the affordability index.
Okay.
It's something that we track. And if you don't know what that is, it's the triangulation between the average amount that somebody makes at the job in a given area, the given average home price at that point in time, and then how accessible the mortgage rates are. So that triangulation, like back in 2013 when we saw it was like liquid white hot magma, it was like the highest it had been since they've been tracking it. Mm-hmm. And if you look at it right now, we're down almost 6% off levels from last year, and it's the lowest it's been on the chart that I was looking at.
And we want the affordability index to be high, right?
Well, the corollary, yes, you want the corollary to be high. So what's happening for us, obviously, because the rates are still hanging in there, the income's kind of laggard a little bit. We're seeing some signs, but we're not anywhere where we would hope to have been after all that money we threw at the problem. And then prices took off. So the affordability index is definitely something to watch. And I'd say if you want a more interesting answer, you follow the cash. I remember last year in the summer when I put a home up on the market, not only there'd be a line down the street the first day, but about 4 or 5 of the offers would be all cash. And when I throw a home up on the market now, I'm lucky to see an all cash offer. And that's still with the rental market being undervalued right now and the inventory for rents being undervalued. So you'd think that would still be strong. What's that tell you? Probably that we're overinflated a little bit.
Okay. No, I really, really like that. I think that's 2 really good things to take a look at. I don't think most people know where the cash is going, but the affordability index is something that you can locate pretty easily. Melissa, what do you think? I mean, is the most important statistic or reference point when trying to determine the health of the market?
Well, Jesse made a really great point about the affordability index. I think to a degree, and because I have a lot of experience with short sales and distressed properties, I've always got my eye on the unemployment rate. And so currently in San Diego County, May reported 5.8, and the state was, I believe, 7.4. As opposed to the state was at like between 12 and 13 in 2010. So I've got my eye on that. The thing is, now I'm curious about how accurate those rates are, because at the end, I think that Obama just there's only unemployment. You can only collect unemployment for 6 months now. So how's that going to factor in? And what about those people that got so sick and tired of looking for a job? They're not factored in. So I'm wondering about how that really plays in. But
and underemployment too.
And underemployment.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
That's hard to find out.
So I do think, and I know we aren't specifically talking about short sales and distressed properties, but we have at our office received 25 new short sales in the last month and a half. Yep. So I think there's stuff going on, and despite the fact that unemployment is low, there's stuff going on in the market that is creating, this issue. Okay,
so you think keep an eye on the employment rate or the unemployment rate, and also distressed properties as signals.
Exactly.
What's coming,
in addition to the affordability index.
Okay, and you want to second the affordability index. Very good stuff. Well, Tara, what do you think? What's most important to you for referencing when trying to determine the health of the market?
I'm going to go back to inventory levels. You could easily see with inventory levels where we're at, how healthy the market is. Are people just running over each other to write up an offer on a home? Or is it at a standstill, like 2007 where nothing was selling and, prices were just, stagnant for a really long time. And then from there, the bubble bursted. But, I think the inventory level is going to create a lot of, opportunity, or it's just going to go the opposite way. For example, I was talking to one of my buddies. He called me yesterday and he said, "Hey, Voltaire, listen, I'm going to move out of my home." Right. He owns like a 4-bedroom in Chula Vista. And we're going to move into a 1-bedroom condo, me and my wife, and we're going to rent out the home, and we're going to get basically our mortgage covered on it. Okay. And I don't want to sell it because we have a 3.8% interest rate. And what we plan to do is save about $1,000 every month by renting this condo or apartment. And in 2 years, we're going to buy again. So, I think he made that decision because the inventory levels right now, they're not there for him to, sell his property and move into another one. And in my opinion, I think that there's going to be more inventory coming, 2016, 17. And it's funny because I didn't even give him any advice, but he already kind of just
He figured that out.
Yeah, he figured that out. So,
Well, let me ask you this then, because if inventory is the key thing for you to look at, is low inventory good or bad, or is more inventory good or bad? How do you actually measure that? Where do you determine is good or bad with regard to inventory?
well, it depends, which eyes you're looking out of, a seller or a buyer. In my opinion, just as a real estate agent, I would want it to be, with 6 months of inventory and it's just an equal market and there's, sales coming in, we're at a low as far as sales compared to last year. Last year's, we're down 7%, year over year in sales. But I would want it to be, right at a 5 or 6 month amount of inventory on the market, and that way, the buyers get what they want, the sellers at the same time. Now, if I was looking at it from an investor point of view, which I'm in the market of buying right now, just like, you recently bought your property.
I'm still looking.
Or
Yeah.
you're still looking.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I think it's a perfect time to buy. You probably think the same thing, but, I would want more inventory. I would want more inventory.
Agreed.
And just because it builds wealth, the average tenant across the U.S., their average wealth is $5,100 compared to a homeowner. A homeowner across the U.S. is about $147,000, so 30 times more just because they own a home. So if you could get into a home, it's really good. So I think inventory.
Inventory. All right, and I can understand that. And so let me ask you very specifically, if there were 1,000 homes for sale, would that be a good thing or a bad thing for the health of the market?
You mean if there is 1,000
1,000
more?
homes for sale total in San Diego
Oh,
County. If there were 1,000 homes for sale, would that be good or bad for the health of the market?
Yeah, it'll be bad.
That would be bad.
Yeah.
Melissa, what do you think?
Well, I think there are currently like 6,600 homes for sale
Yeah.
in San Diego County. So that would be, I'm not sure what it would be, but I was just going to bring up, you talked about buyers, sellers, and investors, but you didn't talk about real estate professionals. Real estate professionals want to see fast closings, and the more balanced the market is, the higher the absorption rate.
I agree.
Less closings, less income for the number of real estate professionals in California.
Well, I like the idea of looking at inventory. Don't get me wrong, but I just want trying to create a benchmark for what, how do you determine whether that's good or not? Because if there are 1,000 homes for sale instead of 6,600, you'd say, okay, well, then a lot of transactions have taken place. So that would, make you think that the market's churning and things are happening. Whereas if there were 10,000 homes for sale, that would make you think that it's getting slower. But I don't know if that's necessarily true. Jesse, what do you think about this thing?
Well, 2 points. First thing is our big need right now in our little town is sustainability. And the challenge, as I've looked over the market over the last 10 years, is that it's been either crazy or depressed, or crazy or depressed.
Yep.
And we just watched that happen again, where over a period of 18 months, the county went up almost 22%. I mean, that's not sustainable.
Yeah.
So as you look to the 1,000 inventory query, that might be great in a myopic basis for that seller who happens to time that thing perfectly and put it on the market. Because again, they're going to have the line down the street, they're going to call their price, they're going to get their terms. But for the long stroke, for everybody involved, we've got to get out of this emotional panic thing that we're in, and we got to get back to a sustainable market. The challenge with inventory that I would bring up is that we're actually going to be facing an incredible inventory shortage over the next 5 years because of all the building that's stopped and the amount of people that continue to come into our county and want to call, we're arguably top 10 most desirable places to call home. And then you got the military and you got all that stuff that's happening. We have a large influx to fill, and nobody picked up a hammer when everything was going bad. So that combined with the internal population boom of the fact that the average family, typically Latino for this area, has an extra kid and a half from average families of white who are in different areas, and they like to stay around their mom and dad. So we have an internal population boom on top of everybody that wants to come here. We're going to have a serious inventory shortage in the next 5 years. So that could be good for sellers, but again, the bigger issue is sustainability.
That is an awesome point. In fact, when I talked with the president of the Building Industry Association, Michael Harris, he said the exact same thing. The biggest issue we have with the builders is that, if you look at it on a graph, here's what it looks like. It's declining. Every year they're building less and less and less.
Right.
And so that is going to come to a head at some point. I mean, you can start building up, and then, like I said, that's when the transformation starts to happen. San Diego will be like San Francisco at some point, and that's why I believe in real estate for the long haul, pretty much no matter what. fantastic stuff from all of our guests. Who will take home the golden mic? We will find out soon. Coming up, our second debate topic. A lot of industry insiders have acknowledged that the summer has been slow for real estate transaction activity. Is this slowness real or is it perceived? And if it's true, does that mean we could be in for an ice-cold fourth quarter? Stick around. We'll make you smarter than everyone else. All right, welcome back to the Real Estate Debate. Your lunch hour, Mr. Credit here, ESPN 1700. Save the station in your dial. Who will go home with the golden mic today? Will it be Voltaire Leppi, former champion of Foster Hamilton? He's undefeated so far in the real estate debate from freepropertyevaluations.com. Could be Melissa Zavala, who's been writing some articles for me at the Union Tribune in the real estate section with Broadpoint Properties and broadpointproperties.com. Could be a first-timer. Jesse Ibanez could win today. He actually has the lead. I'll go ahead and disclose that with the Greenhouse Group and greenmeansgrow.com, not a marijuana website. So let's get to our second debate topic of the day today, and we'll be starting with Melissa. So, Melissa, a lot of industry people that I've talked to have acknowledged that it's been a slow summer, and for real estate transaction activity, that is. Is this slowness real, or is it a perception of some sort? And if it's true, does that mean that we could be in for a really ice-cold fourth quarter here?
Well, I do believe that the slowness is very real. Statistics show that if you look at the number of closings and all that data, then you do see that that is very real. And I do still think, despite what Jesse said in the last segment, that the lending guidelines are still quite challenging for many, many homeowners. So there was a study done where they said, what would you rather do? And people, instead of getting a loan, and people said, well, 12% would rather spend 24 hours with a person they hate, 23% would rather gain 10 pounds, 7% would rather have a root canal, and
I don't think they know what a root canal is.
And another 7% would rather spend a night in prison. So with that in mind, either something needs to be done on the lending side. People are very fearful about the lending process. And
does that have to do with guidelines, though, or does it have to do with just the process being so arduous of paperwork and, all of that?
Well, I don't know what the statistics in the study, I don't know what the study looked at specifically, but I do feel that it is arduous. They get really, really frustrated when they're asked to give something again and again.
So maybe it could just be cleaner.
Right.
And that would change that, perhaps.
Maybe it would. But I think that coupled with what we were talking about in the last segment about unemployment and all these things, that, yes, the slowness is real. And since construction starts right now, or construction continuation is a little bit slow, maybe the slowness in that fourth quarter, it will be pretty icy in San Diego.
You think so?
In quarter four.
Okay, so that would be, an opportunity for buyers then, maybe, who have the ability to be patient.
Exactly, or cash buyers can take advantage of that. There are a lot of opportunities to be taken advantage of in the fourth quarter, I believe.
Understood. Jesse, what do you think? Is the slowness real or perceived? And if it's real, does this mean we're headed for a slow fourth quarter?
Well, first of all, I didn't know we were allowed to quote Mashable statistics. I think that probably would be the answer in any market. The momentum hopefully is lightening up a little bit, and let's all pray for that because we know it's been so tight to get a loan over the last couple years. The slowness, if you talk to buyers and sellers and you talk to other agents, it just feels like everybody's disappointed with where it's at right now.
I agree with that, yeah.
And it's interesting to me because, what comes up for me is I think we're spoiled. I think we're spoiled rotten with the San Diego market. We went from about a year back where, market time was about 2 hours.
Yeah.
and then it kind of got, okay, blah, blah, blah. About 45 days was about the last time I checked in. Right now we're trailing at about 60 days. It's 2 months. I was talking to my buddy from Utah the other day, and he says his average market time, any guesses?
6 months?
Utah, 9 months.
9 months! Yeah. My man. 9 months.
And that's a balanced market for them?
Well, I didn't get into that level of it,
Okay.
but I was like, it was a chin check for me, because I'm over here thinking about how I can optimize. If I'm not in a contract in like the first weekend, I start like sweating a little bit, and I'm like, okay, I got to like do some more like creative stuff. Let's get some guerrilla marketing going. Let's do some target advertising. Like, and he talks about this big long-winded thing where you have this original peak and then there's the middle buyer and there's the 9-month buyer. So, for me, I think that emotion creates volatility. And Whether or not we're heading for a slowness in the fourth quarter, I think is to be, all of us are going to figure that out for each other. In the meantime, I'd love to see some more leadership. And I think that that's what our industry right now as a whole is missing so much, is somebody who has the ability to stop that nonsense and get like a 30,000 foot macro perspective of where we are and understand that it's a fantastic time to put your home up on the market right now. And if you're a buyer, it's a phenomenal time to go get your name on something before the end of the year. Why? Because the pundits, I don't claim to be one of them, but I'll repeat what they say in the meantime, claim that the rates are on the way up.
Yeah.
And by the end of the year, they think they should be up by 5 organically, which isn't a lot. But if you go from 4% to 5%, you'll automatically lose, 15 to 18% of purchase power overnight because you're not going to make more money in your job.
Right.
So that's going to have a big effect on both of those categories if they don't watch out.
Yeah, no. So I love it. It's great stuff there from Jesse Ibanez, Greenhouse Group. What you're saying is basically there are a lot of things involved with trying to figure this out. Whether it's perceived or real is really it's all perceived.
Exactly.
I mean, it's all perception because, maybe 60 days is slow for San Diego, but what is that in reality? Is that slow for the marketplace? Not necessarily. I mean, 60 days is a very short amount of time. I remember when I sold my home in Missouri, they told me that it could take up to a year. That's what my agents told me. Now this, keep in mind, that's in 2004. So they say it could take up to a year to get the right buyer to buy your home. And I said, okay, I guess that's what we're looking at. I didn't think twice about it. So I think we are spoiled, and I appreciate that point. Voltaire, what do you think? Is the slowness real, perceived? Are we in for a slow fourth quarter here?
Yeah, I mean, I think that compared to last year, yeah, depends what you compare it to. But over the past 5 years, excluding 2013, the amount of sales right now are more than, 2012, 11,
Is that
10,
right?
9. Yeah. So it depends what you compare it to. Now, obviously, newspapers or websites aren't going to get clicked on if they have just like normal headlines. And that's why you said leadership. But unfortunately, it's just like the writers are, they want to sell ads. So they write their articles kind of just scaring the market. Like, real estate sales dropped. But, what are you comparing it to? Okay, last month or a big whoop-de-whoop, right? So in my opinion, as far as going into the fourth quarter, I think it's going to be like the rest of the year where, it's still going to be solid. I mean, there's nothing to panic about. But at the end of the day, it is slower than last year, but I think it's just it's a good market. Just like you said, there's a lot of opportunity. That's the word that I want to use, is that opportunity, man. If you want to save some money, get a loan right now. If you're a buyer, go out there, buy a loan. If you're a homeowner, great. I wouldn't. If you love your home, I would recommend getting a second home, as long as it makes sense and you have the down payment, you could afford it. Because if you could lock in a rate right now, I mean, it's historically low, and Freddie Mac said that it's going to be in 5% next year.
Yeah,
so.
That's what everyone's thinking will happen. It'll be really interesting to see what happens when the Federal Reserve kind of, takes the foot off the gas. But they're not going to become a seller. Keep in mind, they're just going to stop buying.
Mm-hmm.
So that doesn't necessarily mean that rates will go up. The perception is that they will go up because you take a buyer out of the marketplace, then obviously, prices should go down, and prices go down, rates go up. That's how bonds work. So, Melissa, did you have something you want to say?
When I participated in a panel several months ago, and there was an economy professor from Cal State San Marcos on the panel, and he said that we shouldn't really worry about that very much because the Chinese are just going to come in and swoop in and fill in and take that place.
Yeah.
That's a very confident statement to make.
And there were actually two economists there, and the second one agreed with the first one.
Really?
So, yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, it'll be very interesting to see.
Which could spawn an entirely separate debate.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like when Wall Street was taking over properties. It was a question of whether, was Wall Street going to own every house one day? Was that possible? And I thought it was. And I really do believe, and you don't have to look very far in the statistics to find out, that if you're a homeowner in San Diego 20, 30 years from now, you're going to be one of the lucky ones. If you own a home 20, 30 years from now in San Diego, you'll be very, very glad that you're a homeowner. All right, great stuff as we continue the real estate debate coming up. Our final debate topic, are short sales making a comeback? We thought these things were gone. Everyone said they were gone. We didn't see them. Seems to be a lot popping up lately. And some short sale specialists I know have told me to be on the lookout for another wave. When we come back, we'll tell you if that's a potential concern for the San Diego real estate market. We'll make you smarter than everyone else. Stick around. All right. Final debate topic, real estate debate. Who's going to take home this golden microphone sitting in front of me? Will it be Voltaire Leppi? Will he become the first two-time champion today from Foster Hamilton and FreePropertyEvaluations.com? Will Melissa Zavala win her first real estate debate trophy today from Broadpoint Properties and BroadpointProperties.com? Or will Jesse Ibanez steal the show today with the Greenhouse Group and GreenMeansGrow.com and win his first appearance on the program? Starting the final segment, and the final debate topic will be Melissa Zavala. Melissa, this is a perfect question for you. What an opportunity to make a comeback on today's show. This really set up well for you. Are short sales making a comeback? You have a lot of experience in this area. There seem to be a lot popping up just based on who I've talked to. Some people are saying we should be on the lookout for another wave. Do you believe that's true? And if so, do you think it's a potential concern?
First of all, I hope you didn't set me up for failure here.
I would never do such a thing.
Well, here's some interesting things going on. As I mentioned in the last segment, we are seeing a lot of more short sales. Jesse said the same thing to me in the break. But what we're seeing a lot of is, people did their loan mods, and now those loan modifications, many were on a 5-year adjustment period. So here we are. And now they're going up. Oh, now I can't afford it. Now what am I going to do? Short sale, foreclosure, deed in lieu. Those are the options. The other group or faction that we have are people that in 2004 got a HELOC, got their Escalade, got their boat, put in their super duper backyard on a 10-1. And now it's 2014. And that's adjusted. So now, and maybe the property hasn't appreciated enough to make it worthwhile or make their payments affordable. So I think that those two things are bringing could be factors that are bringing new short sales into the market. We talked about unemployment. We talked about affordability. There's also some ways that impacts it on a larger scale. So if we have more short sales on the market, then, but we still, they're still only a small percentage of the total market. So they have to be competitive against traditional sales. So if I'm a buyer and I'm looking at a short sale and I like it, but there's one down the street for about the same price and I can close in 30 days, what am I going to buy? I don't want to wait 6 months for this unknown thing that may or may not happen. So the short sale sellers are then going to have to lower their price, which, and of course, when that closes, that's going to lower the collective value in that area. So that's a problem as well.
Comp killers.
So here we go. Currently, this year, we're averaging 420 to 550 new notices of default filed per month. That is down from last year, but we're still seeing 150 to 300 foreclosures per month in San Diego County, also down about 50% from last year. But the interesting thing is that short sales are actually more difficult now. People say, oh, we've been through this market, they're probably easier to negotiate. Banks cut their staff. They've got less short sales. And now the short sale sellers, a lot of them, they've got additional liens on their properties because they weathered the storm by robbing Peter to pay Paul, by borrowing here. So they've got additional liens, maybe abstracted judgment or other credit liens that they've used that money maybe to pay their mortgage or to weather the storm. So I think it's a climate ripe for more short sales, we are seeing that.
Okay, very interesting stuff. And these people who have all these extra liens, that's just making it more difficult to get the short sale accomplished, which means potentially they would have to wait longer. That buyer might have to wait even longer to get into the property, which means they may have to lower the price even more. Very good points from Melissa Zavala. Voltaire, what do you think? Short sales making a comeback? Will it hurt the market?
I think that we're going to see more short sales, but I don't think it's going to be, as many as there was in the past to the point where it affects the market like it did in the past. HAMP made about 500,000 modifications in 2010, right? And then they're all set up on a 5-year deal. And then from there, every year for 3 years, typically, they go up 1%. So if there's going to be short sales, I think maybe in 2016, 2017, when it's maybe on the second or third adjustment as far as the rate. The other thing too, HELOCs, it's going to be maybe a double whammy, who knows? But I think that we all saw how hard homeowners fought for their homes. Like, they're just not going to give them up, right? So they're going to do whatever they can to keep them. The government might step in, who knows? I mean, they did create a HAMP 2 program to try to assist with those modifications that are coming. And then HAMP, they actually extended, the Treasury extended HAMP through 2016. So I see that the short sale market, we're going to see more inventory coming in, but I don't think it's going to have that big of an impact. And I also think it's going to be good for the market just because we need some inventory. And not to mention the owner of the property, they're going to get out of debt, whether they agree with it or not, right? Because that's the big issue. Is like, hey, look, when you did a modification, what you really did was you bought the property again for a value that was above market value. So this time around, it might even be something good for them to where they get out of debt and then they get to start over in a few years and buy something at market value. And for the people that, this is a big issue, is the HAMP modifications were at 2%. 2%, right?
Yeah.
So if
unrealistic.
So if they can't afford 3%, when it makes the jump from 2 to 3%, or from 3 to 4, or from 4 to 5, it's like, guess what? Maybe you shouldn't own this home.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I think it is going to be good for the market. It's going to help the market with inventory, but I don't think it's going to be as catastrophic as it was, several years back.
Very, very, very good points from Voltaire Lepi. Foster Hamilton, you just scored a ton, my friend. Jesse Ibanez,
Yep.
I want to know what you think about this situation with short sales. Are they coming back? Is it something to be concerned about?
Yes, and a couple reasons. Number one is, despite this being the unpopular opinion of the panel, I'm sure, definitely of our SDAR president, who recently popped up on the mic and said that we were not in a bubble. If you look at any of the we'll say the people who are supposed to maybe know better, right? The people who are inside the belly of that beast, not the Pollyannas like us running around trying to get deals. Mm-hmm. They will say that our home prices are unsustainable. And I just read a litany of about 15 points, and I won't go through all of them right now because it'll take us way into the next segment. But reasons why that our market right now is looking like it's tearing back to what happened before, primarily to the tune of the fact that the investors are going to pull back. So this might not be as cataclysmic as what happened before, but it's definitely going to happen on a micro level, which creates then the fact that there's always going to be two camps of short sellers. There's going to be the ones that really have to short sell, and those will always be around regardless of what market we're in. And then there's going to be the camp who is doing the strategic. And I know that's a 4-letter word in our business, but, the strategic.
I don't think so. I don't think it's a 4-letter word. Maybe some people do.
Defaults. Well, the lawmakers will say it is. And so for them, it's a larger issue because, they're the ones that have to handle this double whammy. You've got the loan mods right now, which, by the way, to the tune of $6 million, right? There's a lot of people who got into the 2% that's escalating up, that is hitting its apex right at about the middle of 2015 when all of the 10-year home equity lines are set to reset. So the double whammy is going to definitely create some panic for those people. And I think that what we're going to see is a bolstering. We went from about 10%, less than double digits, up to about almost 30 or 40, depending on what report you read, of distressed properties in our county. And that's peeled all the way back to pre-bust levels. So I think we're going to see a little boom, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, though, because it's going to create a little bit of opportunity for people out there, like the cash buyers, to be able to scoop up on some properties because they are going to discount the price.
Very, very, very good points that you have all made today. And what a fantastic real estate debate. What an awesome last segment. Everyone scored so well. It's like we should treat every segment like it's the last segment. Fantastic stuff. Voltaire Lepi, former champion here. You did a fantastic job today. Thank you for being here from Foster Hamilton and freepropertyevaluations.com. Melissa Zavala, you're amazing. You always do a great job for us, especially at the Union Tribune. Writing articles for the Union Tribune as well from Broadpoint Properties and broadpointproperties.com. Jesse Ibanez, you've won the real estate debate, my friend.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Dun, dun,
Now, I want to take just a second here to say congratulations. You did a great job today. But, man, Voltaire, you came back and were actually leading in this last segment. I mean, came way from behind. And awesome information. Fantastic stuff today. Really appreciate all of your participation. Jesse, I'll need you to stick around so we can take a photo with your trophy. You'll be taking this thing home today. And we will, of course, be back again on Monday at noon to make you smarter than everyone else. We'll see you then. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody.
Thanks, Derek.
Thank you.